So let's go ahead and start diving in. I'm thrilled to be here today with Salaam Bhatti, who is running for the House of Representatives as a Democrat in Virginia's first district. For those of you who aren't in Virginia, this area includes suburbs of Richmond, where you can get a great honey turmeric latte, as we just learned, Williamsburg, and Yorktown. If that sounds historic to you, it probably because it is. Salaam is a lawyer, a husband, a father of two kids, and has worked at the Virginia Poverty Law Center and FRAC on SNAP and other benefits access issues. For those of you who may have missed our October edition, it's okay. We forgive you in advance. We interviewed Salaam and another advocate turned congressional candidate who's running in New Jersey, both as Democrats, about how they transitioned from longtime food policy advocates into potential representatives. Be sure to check it out after this. But of course, here we'll give you an amazing pre-read. Salaam, thanks so much for joining us today. We know you're a Substack Live pro, so thanks for bearing with us on our inaugural foray into this territory. It's so great to have you here.
It is such a delight and a pleasure to be with you, Will. We've been LinkedIn buddies for so long, and it's been such a treat to chat with you as you launch this. And congrats! This is exciting. And also, hello to everybody tuning in, taking time out of your evening or mid-afternoon, morning if you're in Hawaii. Let us know. Are you from Hawaii or where are you? Shout it out in the chats and spam that heart button so this goes up in the algo and Will and company get some good engagement.
Yes. It's not just about the engagement because we're the ones that are engaging with these questions first. So we were honored to have you in our October edition, and we're really thrilled to have you here today. I have a few questions for you, and then we're going to play a quick game.
Ooh.
Sound like a plan?
Sounds like a good plan.
Okay. As we always say here at Food Policy Debrief, let's get into it.
Okay.
So one of the things that's happening, and I'm obviously here in the District of Columbia, we are currently deep in the throes of a government shutdown that has no signs of ending anytime soon. You recently wrote a piece on your Substack called "You Can't Lead America If You Can't Feed America." And you outlined that your local food bank is already bracing for impact, especially among military families. For me, this is kind of personal. My cousin is in the Navy. He's enlisted, is about to retire soon. And I remember in the 2013 shutdown, he was posted in Hampton Roads, which is right outside of your district, but close. And he was panicking. He was asking me, how do I apply for SNAP? How do I do this? How do I feed, my family, his young kids? And so this is very real. Tell us more about what you're seeing on the ground already, even before we anticipate SNAP benefits potentially being cut in November, and how you're pivoting to action through your campaign.
So all of these congressional district lines, they're all made up, right? There's nothing scientific about it. So there's so much just cross coverage. I say that to say I was talking with the food bank who's outside of the district, but serves a lot of people in the district. And what they were mentioning is that with the shutdown, they've had to go to a local airport to drop off food packages for the TSA employees who are working without pay. They've also seen an increase in military personnel coming because they're also working without pay. And we're seeing federal workers across the spectrum in our district who, again, going through the same thing. And this is all on top of a spike in foot traffic over the past year. And this is right before the shutdown impacts SNAP benefits. If SNAP benefits don't go out in a week and change, then all of a sudden food banks across the country are going to be faced with tens of millions of people coming for help. And why is that? Well, it's because SNAP benefits go out in the first couple of days of the month, and typically by the third week of the month, they're done. So that last week is a stretch week, and then the godsend is the first couple of days of the next month. So people, right now, it's the 22nd, people's benefits are exhausted by now. So over the next week, they may already be going to the food bank. So what we want to do is we reached out to a few food banks in the district, across the district, and just outside of the district as well to say, hey, do you need help with funding? let us help you with funding. So what we have committed to doing is we have a new contribution form out there where we're going to split contributions 50-50 with our campaign and with the food banks in and around the district so that one, we can help the need right now, which is helping them. And then the other is helping the need tomorrow, which is staffing out our campaign so we can even do more. We can do more and more things.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for all of that. Now, would you like to shout out some of the food banks in your district before we move on to the next subject?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, of course, no endorsement from them on our campaign. They are
Of
501.
course not. No, an endorsement of their work, not yours.
Right. Uh, Feed More, Peninsula Food Bank. Feed More covers a lot of Central Virginia and from Central Virginia towards the East Coast. And then Peninsula Food Bank covers a lot of the East part and the Central. And then there's a smattering of independent food banks across the district as well. Henrico County has a food bank in the eastern part of the county as well, which is just outside the district, but our neighbor as well. So thank you to all of them who are doing some amazing work. We really want to be here to help them out. And that's the thing, like as a public interest lawyer, I can't wait to be elected to help my neighbors. We need to start helping them right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, in your interview, speaking of your past work as a public interest lawyer, in your interview and our edition that everyone is now going to read after they watch this Substack live, you mentioned your work to expand SNAP food assistance for over 25,000 families, unlocking over $100 million in SNAP and WIC benefits for for nearly 3 million families nationwide.
Mhm.
Tell us more about how you did that. Are these policies still in effect and these tools still available? And what are some positive stories you've heard from people as a result of that work?
Yeah, so I'm going to dissect that. It was a policy change we did that impacted 25,000 families in Virginia. And
Mhm.
then the tech side was 2.5 million families helping unlock over $100 million in benefits. But
Yeah.
uh, they're connected. So here's the story. I'm the only advocate in the country that united Democrats and Republicans to unanimously vote to expand a welfare program, and that was in 2020 when we expanded SNAP for those 25,000 families.
Mhm.
And as soon as it got done, I was feeling a little guilty because as an advocate, I had really good relations with Department of Social Services, and they're the ones that administer the SNAP program. And I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to be like just flummoxed with tens of thousands of people applying for SNAP. And also, COVID was happening. So, all of these
Yeah.
new people who are losing their jobs who need the program too. So, I was like, what can we do? And I thought, all of a sudden, I'm no longer commuting to work. So, I have like 40 minutes a day to do something. So let me learn a new
40 minutes to cause trouble.
40 minutes to concentrate.
Yeah, yeah, that's how I hear it. Yeah.
So I was like, let me learn a language. Let me learn a coding language and create a screening tool so that people can screen themselves for the program. And so I talked with Dave Gorino, who was formerly of Code for America. I was like, hey, what language should I learn to do a screening tool? He said, you don't got to do anything. Let me connect you with 18F, a federal government group, because they already have like a pilot. So we connected with Alex and Mike over there, and they already had a prototype. So we spent the summer of 2020 creating this thing. And in the fall of 2020, we were so hyped to release it. And we launched it, and nobody used it. And I was feeling really bad. I'm like, oh my God, I wasted you guys' time. I'm so sorry. But then 2 weeks after we launch it, I'm in a local news interview. And I just happened to mention, this was not even in talking point. I just happened to mention, oh, we had the Snap screening tool.
Mhm.
Well, overnight, 100 people used this bad boy. By the end of the month, 1,000 people had used it. I had to hire people to staff a helpline to help people apply for Snap. I mean, say I'm a jobs creator, and then
A lot of people run on being a jobs creator.
right.
So maybe that's a talking point for you from here on out.
And then over the next few months go by, and this young man named Ben Mullen contacts me. He's like, "Hey, can I take this code, which was freely available? He's like, can I take this code and roll it out for the whole nation?" So we, helped him as best we could, but he was the brains. And over 5 years later, it's helped over 2.5 million families unlock over $100 million in SNAP and WIC benefits.
Wow.
So it's great. It's snapscreener.com if anybody wants to go check it out. It is intelligently designed for the user. That was our whole big thing. Like, it has to be mobile friendly. People living in poverty do not typically have broadband internet. They typically don't have a desktop computer at home. So it needs to be mobile friendly. And it needs to be asking questions based on the answers they've provided. It has to be understandable, like sixth grade reading. And it has to show them how much they could receive in benefits if they're eligible. So it
Mhm.
does all of that. And it's all, you can do this training tool within 60 seconds. It tells you how much you could receive in benefits. It gives you some other resources. It explains why this answer came about. So it's just a wonderful program, and I have to pinch myself sometimes because I can't believe I got to be a part of that.
Well, what are some of the positive stories of impact you've heard from families who have used the tool?
Yeah, there was a family that had called us and or not contacted us when I was at VPLC, and she said, my benefit amount is this much, and I have, my income is this. How many people are in my household? And I'm like, that's really low. Use our screening tool and see how much you should actually be getting. So she uses our screening tool and she's like, wow, it says I should be getting a lot more. I said, great,
Mhm.
contact your caseworker and see what's up. So she contacted her caseworker. It turns out the screening tool was right. And she ended up getting a few extra $100 a month because of that screening tool. So it's just really heartwarming and endearing to know that it's helping people.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you've mentioned screening tools. You've mentioned government employees and and safety net, the workers in charge of the safety net and the difficulty that they face. In your interview, you mentioned wanting to push forward legislation that makes the safety net efficient so state workers are not burdened with items that have no positive impact and which lead to error,
Yeah.
like the ones you just mentioned.
Mhm.
So, what are some of your specific ideas in terms of policy moving forward if you were to be in Congress, um, about how to make these processes more efficient and effective, not only for applicants, but also for state workers?
Yeah. The big thing is getting rid of the time limits. The time limits serve absolutely no purpose. They're actually really cruel. Now, what the existing time
And
limits
so, can you
do?
tell us more, because the time limits have recently changed for recertification and such. So, would you tell us a little bit more about some of those time limits currently?
Yeah. So time limits essentially say, hey, if you are able bodied, if you're able to work, you don't have any kids or you don't have any dependents, you have to work 80 hours a month to continue to be eligible for these programs. And if you're not working 80 hours a month and now you're not volunteering or seeking education, then you can only get these programs for 3 months in a 36-month window. Now, if that all
3
sounds,
months and 3 years.
3 months, yeah. If that all
And how
sounds
long does it take most people to find a job?
a lot longer than that. How long does it take
Yeah,
people to find a career? A lot longer,
a
right?
lot.
Well, the thing. So
Mhm.
what these time limits do, and if it all sounds cumbersome and convoluted and awful, it's supposed to be. It's designed that way. It's all delivered.
Mhm.
So what this forces people to do who are coming up on that end of the 3 months, if they don't have that 80 hours a month, it forces them to find some low paying job so that they can just simply continue putting food on the table. These programs, by design, already have work requirements built into them. You can't
Mhm.
survive on $200 of SNAP benefits a month. That's not enough. Like, you can't.
No,
It's not good enough.
especially not with food costs the way they are now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and that what it is I'm at like you can't just be at home. As they try to say, people receiving SNAP benefits or any type of welfare are just sitting at home lazy. You can't. You got to pay rent. You can't pay rent with SNAP benefits. You can't pay rent with Medicaid. So you have to go out and work. You have to be out there to supplement the SNAP benefits. You have to go out there to be able to pay your other bills with other income. So the work is already in there by design. So this whole time limit stuff is ridiculous. So that would be the first thing I would remove because that causes a lot more errors from the caseworker, not because the caseworker is not doing their job right. It's all just really convoluted. You have to keep up with the people you're working with, also keeping in mind that you are understaffed. You got too many people you're helping. or trying.
Mhm.
And so it could be that the person has 80 hours a month one month and then has 20 hours the next month. Like there's no standardization out there. So just get rid of it.
Yeah, that might be that they work a service job, right? And their shift changes every week and, it's not reliable hours. And so reporting that accurately, can be difficult from month to month.
Mhm.
But also you mentioned recertification periods, and there's a big policy shift with HR1 in recertification periods. How do you see this adding on to some of the pressures when it comes to the already existing work requirement?
Yeah, so recertification for Medicaid went from once a year to twice a year, every 6 months. Uh, and you gotta understand, what people not you will, but people need to understand that, people living in poverty don't have the luxury of time. Working multiple jobs, they're taking care of people with, special needs, in the sandwich generation, taking care of their parents and their children, all while probably not having reliable methods of transportation to get to their jobs or to get their kids to school. So that ends up taking a lot more time. So people in poverty do not have time to be constantly trying to figure out when's my next recertification or how do I got to make sure I maintain my eligibility for this program. But if I get a raise, it kicks me off of this program. It's all a mess. So the big thing to do right now is figure
Mhm.
out how we can consolidate these programs into a guaranteed income. That would make a lot of things more efficient. It would reduce a lot of administrative burden, and it would reduce the burdens that people in poverty have to go through when applying for all of these programs. And time again, over 200 pilots across the country have shown that guaranteed income helps. We've seen examples across the world where, countries like Brazil has Bolsa Familia, which for decades has shown that it helps people. It
Mhm.
creates an economic impact. It helps kids' health. It helps education. It helps work. Like everything's great when it comes to giving people without money money. Who would have thought?
It's almost like money is the problem. Um, we do have a question in the chat, which is
Oh,
also an interesting perspective. Have there been any changes to how states can get waivers? And I have some of an answer to this, but you've heard the former SNAP director of FRAC. So I'm going to let you answer about ABOD exemption waivers.
have there been any changes to house? Oh my God, yeah. So there was stuff waiver changes. How do I explain this without getting too weedy?
Exactly my thoughts.
I got to figure out the framing here. So what ends up happening? So states had this right to say, oh, there's too much unemployment in this area, so we're going to waive these time limits. We're going to waive these work requirements. Um, and what the big beautiful bill did was essentially it took away that state's right. It said that I think what is it 10% now? You have to have like 10% unemployment in a region for
Mhm.
you to
Which,
be
for the record, is very bad.
very bad, very bad. And like there was only like maybe 2 places in the country that
Mhm.
had that horrific, unemployment. Now, if you are at 10% unemployment in an area, that's bad. But also, if you're near 10%, that's bad. So the fact that you have such a high amount of unemployment, like let's say you're at 9% and you can't get this waiver, that is awful. Like that is creating a lot of chaos, a lot of problems. And unfortunately, because of the big beautiful bill, states have nothing to do when it comes to remedying that.
Mhm. Mhm. Now, Salam, did so in the past, states have been allowed to have a certain number of exemptions that
Mm.
workers can provide. Did the big beautiful bill change that at all as well?
Oh boy, my brain has atrophied in that sense, in that space. I don't remember. Did it? Did you? Do
I,
you?
I don't know. I don't know. It was legitimately a question that I hadn't thought of until now.
I
But
need to look it up and find out.
yeah, as there's a certain allocation of exemptions, just a caseworker can provide to someone that they have deemed unable to work for some, maybe it's a mental illness or some other diagnosis that they kind of presume through an interview. Um, that's now gone. And these are people without, let's say, a Medicaid, Medicare disability determination, right? They like they come into the caseworker and they go, okay, clearly something else is going on with this person. We don't know what the diagnosis is, but they might not be fully fit to work. And there was an allocation of those that states could use. but I don't know if they still can. So maybe that's a question for our friends at the Center on Budget and Policy Priority. Um, all right. So moving on. Recently, the current administration did more than bulldoze the East Wing. Which is, I have not gone down the street to verify, but have seen photos of. They released their Make America Healthy Again report around food.
Mhm.
So a lot of people in the food and nutrition space see some positive opportunities around MAHA and see some negative things around MAHA. What do you think are those opportunities and threats specific to food policy? And what would you do in Congress to support or fight back against this agenda?
Yeah, in the Maha report, there was mention of making sure children are eating healthier. Absolutely. I think
We can
everybody
all agree. Right.
we can all agree on that. Now, the issue is that how are they gonna address the root cause? The root cause of everybody wants to eat healthier, but
Right.
root causes here of not being able to eat healthier, 2 reasons. One, it's out of reach geographically, or it's out of reach because it's pricier.
Mhm.
So what did Congress do? They froze the Thrifty Food Plan, which is what increases the SNAP benefit amounts,
Right.
which is not the solution. If you want people to eat healthier, you got to give more in SNAP benefits. You got to increase the benefit amount. And what we saw during the pandemic, when we were getting maximum benefit amounts known as the emergency allotments, when people were getting that, they were eating better.
Mhm.
They were able to afford the more healthier products, which unfortunately are typically more expensive as well. So that's one way. That's one way to do something. It's either give them more SNAP benefits, and also for those who are in food deserts or food apartheid zones, is there a way we can have a public-private partnership with Uber Eats, DoorDash, all these other grocery delivery places where they can maybe increase their radius of delivery, or have mobile units somewhere in rural areas so that they can get fresher food. So there's lots of innovative opportunities here. And when we were in Virginia, we realized, I'm still in Virginia. When I was at the Virginia Poverty Law Center, we knew that there was no one size fits all solution. So what we did is we advocated for something known as the Virginia Food Access Investment Fund. And this was just money for community organizations to say, hey, apply for this grant and you know your community best. Figure out a way to improve food access. And it's been doing well. Some areas are doing mobile food banks. Some people are doing deliveries or something like that. So it's helping. It's a way to allow for innovation to take place and to happen, knowing that there's no one size fits all solution. So that's an opportunity. Um, Now there's a lot of when the report came out, there was all these findings that AI was helping create it. So
Yes.
that's a
Yes.
that's a big threat. Like, how much of this report can you actually trust?
That's a good question. AI's ability to do nutrition science is mixed. And I would I would prefer to refer to, registered dietitian, nutritionists, and folks with some credentials. This live is not sponsored by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, but we support them wholeheartedly as they try to credential professionals instead of using AI. But yeah, like I think that AI is a huge influence, and on that same token, there's also social media where people get all sorts of. I think of beef tallow. A friend of mine, recently, even though he's struggling with his cholesterol, talked to me about how he's moving more towards a carnivorous diet. And I went, this might not be the way to fix your cholesterol, my friend. And so, but he's getting a lot of advice from social media and those kind of influencers and you know the rest of his diet is excellent. Kind of passes the sniff test, lots of vegetables, lots of fruit, lots of whole grains, but he was like, I need to add in more meat because I'm seeing this stuff on TikTok. And perhaps but also your doctor is yelling at you about your cholesterol. These are conflicting messages. Um, Maybe it's time to call a professional.
Yeah.
So maybe our Maha friends should have called some professionals as well.
And you know what? To that point, that's where another policy priority for me is healthcare for all.
Mm,
Because a lot of times people can't afford to go see that professional, whether it's a doctor, whether it is a dietitian. So how, getting healthcare for all in America is priority numero uno for me, because we are in a revolutionary time. And revolutionary times demand revolutionary things happen, not patchwork legislation. I was at a meeting with the new Democratic coalition, about a dozen or so representatives around the table. And one of the representatives asks, once Democrats have the majority, what should we do? And I said, hey, you could pass a dozen pieces of legislation that undoes all of the harm, but what's that actually do?
yeah.
What you can do is take this opportunity of the scorched earth that Republicans are leaving behind and build something even better. And that's when I introduced guaranteed income to them, and they loved the idea. But also healthcare for all. We have seen how nearly $1 trillion has been removed from Medicaid and the devastating impact that's going to have. We're in a government shutdown because of that. So,
Hmm.
how do we really bring this front and center? And all the call time I've been doing with people across the district, every person, albeit with like maybe one person, is in favor of healthcare for all. So the time demands the change. And when midterms come next year, people will not be voting for centrists or milk toast candidates. People will be voting for those with a revolutionary vision, because that is what the times dictate.
Yeah. Well, a
Homie
revolutionary
podcast
vision.
that says it's cleanup time.
Oh, it's cleanup time at the
It's
bottom.
cleanup time.
Wow, look at that. Well, I mean, maybe once Congress, you can clean up our healthcare system, which is exactly what you just proposed.
That's what we're doing.
All right. So you mentioned New Democrats, but one of my last questions is there anyone currently or formerly in Congress that you stand, that you have like an alt Twitter account that you defend at all costs? A-
Um,
Anyone?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't defend people at all costs. Everybody's got their flaws, including me.
That
Uh,
was a great caveat. Yes.
but I want to say 12 years ago, maybe I want to say it was 12 years ago. I'm a Redditor. I love Reddit. Um, I came across Bernie Sanders, and this was before he got into the primary and everything like that. And I just fell in love with the guy. I loved the message he was sharing about Medicare for all, and just the
Mhm.
common sense that he was talking about. And not even from like a Democratic or Republican, because he's independent, but just like,
So he
hey,
does, for the record, caucus with Democrats in the Senate.
yep, but just like, hey, this is what the people need.
Mhm.
And that was such a refreshing take on politics and good governance, that I was just very attracted to his campaign. And then when he got really far in that presidential primary, I was like really ecstatic. And so that really helped shape my life. Um, and it's also built on, I studied abroad for a year in Scotland at the University of Aberdeen.
That's very exotic.
It's very exotic.
Yeah.
And uh, that was 2006 to 2007. And I had to go to see a doctor one day. And, go through the checkup, go through the appointment, and when I'm checking out, I pull out my wallet, and I'm like, "How much did it cost?" And they're like, "We don't charge for healthcare." And I'm like, "I've never heard those words together before." And
Mhm.
so I left, and I'm like, they're leaving billions of dollars off of the table, like, what is this? And I did some research, and it turns out that this was a deliberate decision that the United Kingdom made after World War II. They
Mhm.
were like, "This is a revolutionary time, and the people elected us to do revolutionary things, not patchwork but legislation." So this is how the National Health Service became a central part of their new form of government. It was a deliberate decision that they agreed to do. So that is where we are. We are, as Germany had wreaked havoc and flattened England in many parts, the Trump administration and Republicans in Congress are doing the same to America, even the White House right now. So this is a great opportunity for us to take this historic parallel to build that national type of healthcare.
Yeah, Absolutely. You know, as a health policy wonk myself, in addition to being a food policy wonk, I would love your thoughts on how do you structure a system like that?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have 5 more hours.
No,
Yeah.
we have 27 at best,
So
and
I
it's not
think
hours. Yeah.
the thing is if we passed healthcare for all right now, it would fail. There's not enough doctors to meet the current demand. And unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we've got even fewer. Once the big, beautiful bill's impacts on rural hospitals kick in and we lose hospitals, then that's going to lose precious and scarce residency spots.
Yeah.
So it's a big snafu we're heading into. And they're also trying to
I feel
limit.
like NAFU feels gracious, but yeah.
Yeah. It's AFU. It's just AFU.
Mhm.
And with Republicans now even limiting how doctors can immigrate into this country, it's even worse. So what we have to really do is we got to get all parties to the table, med schools, the American Medical Association, hospitals, et cetera, and maybe even the immigration crew of how do we actually build out a better healthcare system,
Mhm.
and how do we get to healthcare for all? So if we do it without taking in immigrants who are doctors, because we take in plenty of immigrants who are nurses, what can we do? Like it's going to take 20 to 30 years
Mhm.
otherwise. And we just don't have that type of time. And we can't really govern in a tri-decade way. So we got to figure this out. We got to get people who helped create those nationalized health services or have helped make them better in the countries around the world, because there are many of those countries. Bring them to the table as well. Like, what did you learn from? How can we make sure we don't repeat those mistakes? We have a great opportunity to take the masters of these healthcare systems, bring them to the table with our partners, and make this something phenomenal for the people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting, when you explain, you know, I remember back in 2016, I was talking to my dad, and for viewers, Salam knows this, I'm originally from Alabama. And so my dad is not a staunch liberal by any stretch of the imaginations, but has some vaguely purple tendencies to his credit.
Mhm.
And uh, I was, he was saying, I really don't like the Medicare for all idea. And I went, well, Dad, it really looks like, everybody paying some of their income into this system. And that way it saves businesses the costs of health insurance. And like they can still offer supplemental insurance as an incentive, like they do in Australia. Yes, Roll Tide, to our commenter. Um, uh, Still offer, supplemental insurance like they do in Australia and even in the UK and in other places. But by and large, businesses are kind of off the hook for paying for um, their employees' health care. And he went, that would actually be really good for businesses, wouldn't it? I had never thought of that before. And I went, yeah. And you see a lot of businesses and a lot of people who are small businesses now, especially with the ACA credits expiring, or that they have expired and will, be those premiums will go up in the next benefit year, which people are selecting now. Um, where it is like a very real cost to businesses that we don't have this infrastructure, in addition to the workforce concerns that you're talking about, Salam. So it is a problem on so many fronts that we just can't seem to get together on. And so I really appreciate your energy towards
I,
trying to solve that.
did you also broach the topic of with your dad about how if we had healthcare for all, your $1,300 a month premium goes away?
We did not mention that because at the time in 2016, we were busy moving. We were moving furniture together. And so that we got, to the surface level, and then we had to go move a lot of stuff in the middle of May. So we didn't quite get around to all the depth of it.
You
Um,
plant the seed though. That's good.
yeah, yeah. We successfully moved furniture though, and that
Well,
was important.
that-
And working together is a bit of our love language.
all right.
Uh, all right. Well, speaking of love languages, we're going to close out with a game.
Okay.
So, since Food Policy Debrief is new to Substack Live and you aren't, we figured we'd play a game to wrap up. This or that. we'll give you 2 choices to 5 different questions,
Okay.
and you pick which you'd rather do or deal with and why.
Okay.
Sound plan?
Sounds good.
Okay. So, which is more dramatic? Punch Bowl News, which for those of you who might not know is kind of like page six or a gossip rag for DC and Congress, but also a news site, or Real Housewives.
Which city?
Let's go with Salt Lake City because that's the one I have to catch up on tonight.
I would say Real Housewives is more dramatic.
Okay, specifically Salt Lake City, though.
Oh, okay. So, okay, I have never seen any Real Housewives. What I have seen is Real Husbands of Atlanta. Have you seen that?
Mm, is that a real show?
It is. It's not like Real Housewives. It's a comedy. Kevin Hart starring Kevin Hart. It's
Okay.
hysterical. I actually never knew Punch Bowl was like a gossip rag.
I mean, it's sort of,
Uh,
it has gossipy tendencies at times.
I would say, yeah, Real Housewives sounds like it's a lot more dramatic because I don't know, I would have to make something up because I've never seen it. But like the drama of Washington D.C., although it does, spill over like a punch bowl, it's you know what, it might be equal. I was just thinking about the cattiness.
Yeah, there's a lot of cattiness.
Could be equal.
Mm,
Could be
yeah,
equal.
maybe this goes back to your original clarifying question of it. Like, depends on the city. Maybe that's part of it. And we only had Real Housewives of DC for one season, and as you might remember, they broke into Obama's first state.
What?
Yes,
I didn't know that.
yes.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
one of the housewives and her husband broke into President Obama's first state dinner, and the Bravo cameras followed them, thinking that they had permission to be there. And they absolutely were not invited. They did not have permission to be there.
Wow. So that was
Right.
first insurrection.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's available on Peacock for those viewers wanting to learn more.
I got
Oh,
wow.
yeah. Yeah. All right. Next question. Which is easier, filing your taxes or filling out a SNAP application?
Filling out your taxes because the IRS and 18F was helping the IRS create something that was helping make that process easier. Unfortunately, 18F got doged, and
Like
that
most good things.
yeah, and I think that easy filing also got doged as well, and that's because the whole concept of Doge, the whole concept of Republicans is to make things that are public private. So that was a good thing that there was that was happening. It's filing your taxes it's federal, right? So it's uniform. When it comes to filing for SNAP, every state has a different application, and every state has different SNAP options. And every state has different ways for you to apply for SNAP. So if you're in Virginia and you're applying through the Common Help website, it could take you hours and the website could crash while you're doing it and you'd have to restart. So at least with the IRS, at least with filing taxes, you have your W-2, you know the information. It shouldn't take you that. It doesn't take you as long.
Wow. All right. Um, Now a Virginia politics question. Who's more your style? Senate delegation version. Mark Warner or Tim Kaine?
Tim Kaine, I am not a multimillionaire. Like,
Yeah.
and Tim Kaine came from the trenches, like legal aid style. So yeah, I would akin myself to Tim Kaine.
And he's very aligned with your background.
Yeah.
Like you both did legal aid, and so there you go. All right. What's more fun on the campaign trail? Door to door canvassing or phone banking?
Oh man. So you get to talk with more people while phone banking,
Mm-hmm.
talking with people, but it's that face to face connection that just can't be matched. So right now in our campaign, it's too early for door to door canvassing. I am canvassing for other candidates because we do have the Virginia elections.
Yes.
So everybody in Virginia who's watching, make sure you go out and vote if you haven't voted yet. Or as Obama would say, let me be clear: go out and vote. For sure.
And he is going to be in Virginia,
Yeah.
campaigning for Abigail Spanberger soon. So he will
No.
be saying that, actually.
So yeah, door-to-door canvassing, that's like really where you get to be battle tested. Sometimes you meet with people who are friendly, sometimes not. And are you good with your messaging? Are you good with pivoting? All that stuff. So door-to-door canvassing, I'll choose that.
Okay, awesome. You talk to more people phone banking, but it's more pleasant to do door to door.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And now for my last question. This might be the hardest one you've gotten all day. What's harder, running for Congress or pot training a 2-year-old?
Potty training a 2-year-old. Parenting. There you go.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's the 6-year-old.
Did the 6-year-old help with the potty training?
He did pretty good. He's a pretty good helper.
Okay, good.
But running for Congress is easy compared to being a dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I see he's now your video assistant, so he's
Yeah.
working on that as well.
Now, running for Congress is calling people, talking with people, helping people. And that's what I've been doing. As a public interest, that's what I've been doing. But with parenting, you're all in. You got to be all in with everything. I mean, sure, you're all in as being a public servant too, but with parenting, it's building something that should last. And it's wonderful, it's beautiful, it's hard,
Mm-hmm.
and it hugs you at the end of the day.
Yeah. And in public service, you rarely get hugs at the end of the day unless from your family. Sometimes you get tomatoes thrown at you, which is less pleasant.
In this economy.
Well, maybe just rocks in this. Maybe just rocks in this economy, which is less pleasant. Well, Salaam, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Where can people learn more about your campaign, and sign up to volunteer, donate, or learn more about your campaign?
Yeah, I'm going to type into the chat right now my website. While I'm doing this, I'll say you can also probably click on my name at the top of this live and come to my Substack and just subscribe for free.
And so to read it out loud, it's salamforva.com.
That's right. It's got a great donate link to be able to donate to the campaign. It's got a volunteer form. You can volunteer whether or not you're in the district, in the state. We'll have opportunities, especially next year, as we go hardcore, all in, leading up to the June 16, 2026 primary.
Wow. And remind us of the promotion where you're donating part of your campaign funds to a food bank.
Yeah.
Food banks, rather.
So check out my latest Substack piece. There's a link in there for that contribution form. I'll also say I'm on social media, on all social media platforms at Salaam Bhatti VA across all platforms. So come along. We're having a lot of fun on Instagram and on Threads in case you're there, but we'll share the joy on the other ones too.
Yes. Hopefully maybe the joy just permeates throughout the social media ecosystem, right?
Yep. Yeah, we're having a good time.
All right. Well, Salaam, on behalf of Lucy, Nieti, and I from the and Alexi from the Food Policy Debrief team, thank you so much for being with us tonight, and we'll see you on the campaign trail.
Thank you for making time for this and highlighting this, man. This is how we're going to get things done and win.
Absolutely. All right. And thank you, of course, to all of our viewers. We'll see you again soon.